and welcome to the Divorced Women's Guide podcast, where we talk about the things us divorcees are thinking, but not always talking about, as we turn our divorce into the best gift we've ever been given. And I do so with a little bit of sass and a whole lot of class. I am your host, Wendy Sterling, founder of the Divorce Rehab. I am here to support you in this transition phase of your life so you can start your new best chapter on your own terms. After all, that's what I did after my own divorce. And now it is my mission to change the conversation around divorce and help you see why your divorce, like mine, was the best gift you ever received. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Divorced Woman's Guide podcast. I am so happy that you have tuned in today because I am here with Sara Duchovnay. Hello, Sara. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh my goodness. I am so excited that you are here. I am so excited that I learned about who you are, what you do. You have the most fascinating story and background. And I know that we are here to talk about something that I actually am new to the subject on, and was also one of the reasons why I was so fascinated by having you on my show, which is we're going to talk about the divorce ring phenomenon, right? What is that? Well, it's women who get to celebrate their strength, their past, and their future with jewelry. And Sara's story of how she created a jewelry business will inspire you all because it helped her to find the fiscal freedom that she was so craving. And she was actually finally able to recover from her financially abusive husband at the time. So before we dive in, I'm going to talk a little bit more about your bio because, again, Sara has the most incredible background that I know many of you right now are going to go, what? That's so cool, just like I did. So Sara is a professional opera singer who has turned her obsession with antique diamonds and estate fine jewelry into a dual career. Okay, how cool is that? And the two sides of her professional life work together in perfect harmony. While performing major roles with opera companies around the country and traveling alongside her opera singing husband, now husband, second husband, yes. Sara is able to source incredible heirloom pieces from all over the world. An unexpected but meaningful niche in her business is called divorce rings. And these are these special rings that women can purchase for themselves to celebrate their strength and independence from an unhappy and or unhealthy marriage. And interestingly enough, this unexpected niche presented itself when Sara shared a photo of her own divorce ring that she purchased after leaving an emotionally abusive marriage. And when many women, when they hear her story of survival, feel inspired to buy their own. Sara is also an ambassador and educational facilitator with the One Love Foundation, which is a nonprofit that teaches young women about healthy versus unhealthy relationships in an effort to end relationship abuse. And she loves being a part of the healing process for her clients, and she helps them to celebrate themselves. Oh my God, Sara, like I don't even know where to start because I am so incredibly, like you are a true artist, an artist in all forms, right? I mean, besides your voice, your mind, right? Your physicality, all of it. Because when you sing opera, I know there's a lot of, there's body language that you're communicating as well. So
absolutely.
So you have a story to tell. And while I wish you would sing it, I would love for you to share a little bit more about it and how that inspired you to sort of create this new genre of divorce rings.
Yeah, absolutely. So I married my high school boyfriend when I was 23 years old. And we had been dating since I was 16 and since he was 15. And it was my first real relationship, and I just never got out of it. And looking back, because as I'm sure many of you have felt, looking back, I thought, well, where did it go wrong? Like, what was the first sign that something wasn't right. And I actually have journals that I kept daily in high school. And when I look back on those journals, it's pretty clear that it was an unhealthy relationship from the start, but I was so young and so inexperienced, as he was as well. And I just didn't know that it didn't have to be that way. You know, I just thought, oh, relationships take work. Nobody's perfect. If I just pour more love into this situation, I can change him, I can fix him. And we just kept dating, and then we got married. And, you know, once we were married and our finances were tied together, and there was a more societally accepted control, things got very bad. And at 28, after 5 years of marriage, he had an affair, and I was able to get out of that marriage. And I mean, it's really interesting because the affair was probably the least terrible thing that happened to me during that marriage. The affair was not my reason for leaving. The affair was the socially accepted thing that made me wake up and say, oh, I don't have to be in this. I can leave. And as soon as I did, my world absolutely changed. So I had wanted to be an opera singer from the time that I was 16 when I got into that relationship. And I went to undergrad and grad school for vocal performance, opera performance. And my career was really just starting as the marriage really took a turn, because all of a sudden I was accomplishing things on my own independently. And I was traveling a lot, and I was really coming into my own identity. And in a relationship where there's so much control and emotional abuse, that was really triggering for him, and things got very bad. And then financial control was a big part of it too, because I was at the beginning of my career not making a lot of money. My ex had supported me through grad school, so I wasn't able to make a lot of financial decisions for myself, and I was kept out of most of the financial day-to-day happenings of the household. So when I got out, I was in control of my life and my spending for the first time ever in my adult life, because I you know, I'd never been independent, you know, from my parents or this relationship. And I missed wearing a ring. I've always loved jewelry. And I fell in love with this amazing Edwardian diamond and platinum ring. It's right here. So it's a dinner ring. So it's kind of like a cocktail ring. It's long on the finger. I just absolutely fell in love with it. And I missed wearing my diamond ring. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can buy this for myself. I don't have to ask anyone's permission. I don't have to have a conversation about it. I want it. I have the money. I'm going to buy it. And the next day, I wore it to rehearsal, and my colleagues said, you know, oh, Sarah, what's that on your finger? You know, sparkling under the stage lights. And the first thing that popped out of my mouth was, oh, it's my divorce ring. And what was really amazing about that experience was that it destigmatized the whole thing for them. So I think a lot of them who, you know, some of them had known me when I was with my ex, and they didn't quite know how to behave or talk about things surrounding the divorce. But the fact that they saw that I was so happy and I was celebrating this huge life event, just kind of freed them to be happy with me, and to be able to talk about it in a way that wasn't like guarded or, you know, stigmatized.
Well, and I think that that's such a great point, because, you know, I know that I talk to so many women, especially who get very uncomfortable using the word, the phrase that I am divorced. And, you know, a lot of times they want other ways to be able to communicate that, like what's other language. And I think that even just, it's not even the language of divorce ring, but having a symbol, right? A happy symbol of what that represents to you is such a brilliant way to communicate to others. And essentially you take the sting out, you take the discomfort away from them, right? And what that does is they don't project their discomfort onto you, which then makes you really uncomfortable in that moment,
Right.
right?
And people don't know what to say. You know, they say, "Oh, I'm
No,
sorry." And you're like, "Please don't be. Like,
exactly.
this is positive."
Exactly. I'm like, say congratulations.
Yes.
Right. So no, and that's a brilliant way to sort of, you know, take out the, you know, the stigma. And it's one of my greatest missions in this lifetime is to really have divorce be, and you now have the symbol, like you create the symbol around why divorce is an empowering experience, right? For people that they get to go through to really stand in their power, find their identity, find their voice, and start creating and designing a life that they love. And I love that
Absolutely.
this divorce ring is a symbol of that power. And I know that that wasn't the end of it for you by buying one for yourself, right?
No, no. I hadn't started the business at that point. It was always something that I thought like, oh, how cool would it be if I could, you know, rescue these vintage and antique pieces that find me. You know, they come to me, and I want them all. But obviously, I am a freelance opera singer, so I can't just buy myself diamonds every day. And I always thought, oh gosh, if I could just have a business where I could do this, I could just find the most amazing things and connect with people and like bring them these amazing pieces. But it's a really expensive undertaking. I mean, starting a business is expensive, but especially a business where you're like buying expensive inventory. And, you know, that was another thing, that being independent and being able to make my own financial decisions
Mhm.
opened up all of these opportunities for me. You know, maybe there'll be bad decisions, but I can make them. And so starting this business really changed the way I viewed myself and the way I viewed myself and money. And it just gave me so much confidence in all areas of my life, because a lot of the messaging that I received from my ex-husband was that, you know, I'm not good with money because I'm an artist, I'm irresponsible, all of these things that I internalized. And then starting this business and growing it into something really wonderful and successful, every day I'm like, look at me, you said I couldn't do this, but I'm awesome at dealing with money, I'm great at business. And that just feels like such a gift that I was able to give to myself.
Yeah, and I have to imagine too, I mean, so many of us come out of marriages where there is financial dependence, right? And the fear of not having that security. And also, many times they don't either have careers that they can sustain on one income to have a life. And on the other side, many times they don't even have a career and now they have to go and start something. And I'm curious to know, you know, clearly there's fear in all of us, right? Starting our own business, how much is that going to cost? You know, I don't know how to do this. What was what was sort of the pivotal thought or moment where you said, no, I'm going to do this. I get to do this. I can do this. I'm capable.
Yeah, when I was in the first marriage, I had this low grade anxiety all the time. Like every day it was just there. And I got so used to it that I, you know, didn't even realize it was there. But I would worry about a lot of things, and like the big fear under it all was like, what if this is it? Like, what if this is all I get for my life?
Hmm.
I've never said that really out loud, but like, what if this is all I get? And I don't get to try different things. I don't get to experience freedom. I don't get to, experience healthy love. Like, what if this is all I get? And once I was out, I kind of realized, like, well, I have this opportunity. You only get one life. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I try something and it doesn't work. Like, I get to try it. And that's something that I never thought I would have. So I think, just I got this appreciation for the time that I have on earth. And, you know, honestly, what's the worst that can happen? Like, it'll fail and then I'll try something else.
Yeah, well, I think that that is a huge, your resiliency. I also think you being an artist and sort of trusting process and also trusting, that you're gifted enough to make it work. Um, I think everybody has the ability to recover from either financial hardship, whether there was financial abuse in a marriage where you were allotted an allowance every week, right? That you were able to recover from that because you had, what I'm hearing is determination. You had, the willpower, the strength, the desire was greater than the fear. And so then you created Songbird Sara jewelry, which is so appropriately named, right? So how did you go about, how did you even start? Because, to go from that to antique, I love antique jewelry. I mean, oh God, that's also when I saw that, I was like, oh, I think she and I are going to be creating a ring together, because I live for antique stores with I love antique cocktail rings. Like, that is my
Yep.
jam. So how did creating that business go for you? Like, talk to everybody about that process for you.
Well, I've always loved, like you, loved antique jewelry. And so I think it's been 10 to 15 years of independent research and study. Like, it was just my, obsession, kind of stress relief thing where, if I wasn't studying music or whatever, I was reading jewelers forums and reading books and like seeing what was out there and going to antique stores and talking to jewelers and asking questions. So I had amassed a ton of information that I wasn't really doing much with. And when I decided to start the business, I started with about 5 items. So I decided, okay, I'm going to start small. I'm going to start with like 5 beautiful things. And if they sell, then I'll use the money to buy 5 more and I'll just grow it that way. And they did. And people really enjoyed my taste and the things that I was able to find and the information that I was able to give them. So it grew from something very small. And then I, made it official with, my S corporation, and got all the things together and built my website and all those, not so glamorous, but very necessary things. And yeah, it's just been a lot about reaching out to people and connecting with people and becoming part of the jewelry loving community on Instagram, and just finding people from all of the areas that I'm passionate about and kind of bringing them into this little community that I've created. So yeah, it was a risk, but I started small and just kind of stuck my toe in before, I left it.
And that's smart. I mean, that's what every entrepreneur does, right? You start small, you ask people smarter than you the questions that you need to know, right? I was in a mastermind earlier today, and one of the people said, you always make sure you're in a room with people that are 7 steps ahead of you. Those are the people that you talk to, that that you bring on, because there are people smarter than you, and that's okay. And they will guide you to the best of your ability. So, and I love that you had the courage to do that. And I think that's an incredible inspiration for so many that are tuning in and listening today. Hey, it's Wendy here. I wanted to take a quick break from the conversation to let you know about another free event I'm hosting on Tuesday, September 29th about divorce and narcissism. If you're somebody who is divorcing a narcissist or someone with narcissistic characteristics, this is something you don't want to miss. You will learn what you need to know before you divorce a narcissist, how to successfully negotiate with one, learn financial hacks, how to set boundaries and co-parent with a narcissist, and so much more. The event is free and it's live, and all you have to do is register today by visiting divorceandnarcissism.com. Again, the event is live on Tuesday, September 29th, so block your calendar today. And now let's jump back into the conversation. I'd love to understand. So, what's the process? So, let's say I'm like, Sara, we're going to do this. I want a divorce ring. So, what's the process in working with you? Take me from start to finish.
Yeah, so I think what makes the process with me very unique is that I've been there. So I like to think of the divorce ring shopping process as a fun and healing experience. And I love to talk to my clients about, what is their ideal outfit? Who is their fashion icon? What movies, what plays, like what is your area of fashion that you kind of want to live in with this ring? And that is like a big guiding point. And I find that a lot of women, when they got engaged, either they didn't pick out their engagement ring, or their style has just changed so much since they got engaged. So this is really a chance for me to ask them the questions about, what do you want? How do you see your style? How do you see your style going forward? Maybe it's a different kind of style than you wore in your old life, but this is your chance to, rebuild and reinvent. And I think, the style of the ring plays a big part in it. And divorce rings can be, diamonds, they can be gemstones, they can be plain gold, they can be platinum. Like, it's really all a matter of what what you think symbolizes you, and what you want it to symbolize for your future. And so I am an estate jeweler. I'm not a bench jeweler or a designer. So most of the things that I have are antique or vintage pieces. So antique is 100 years older, vintage is 20 years older. And they are just as is. But sometimes I'll do conversion pieces where I'll find a really great gold or diamond brooch and turn that into a ring, or, make small modifications. Sometimes people want to get their diamond from their engagement ring reset into something else. But I generally find that most people want to start fresh. So sometimes I'll help sell the existing engagement ring so that they can just wipe the slate clean, get rid of the strings to their old life, and start with something that's totally new to them. But it's really different for everyone, and I've been part of so many different experiences with divorce ring clients.
Yeah, and I'm even just thinking to myself, like, so it's almost like we answer questions, right? So that you can kind of understand what our style preferences are. And then do you shop from the inventory that you have, and or go out and look for pieces? And then how do you show your clients? I mean, obviously you need to know ring sizes and all that fun stuff. But then how do you show, because I always, the way rings look on screen on a picture versus how they look on your hand. So what is that? How do you get around that? And
I take a lot of videos.
Okay.
So yeah, videos really show a lot. I think with pictures, it's sometimes, depending on the lighting or whatever, you can't see the angle, but I send tons and tons of videos. So actually I've had an experience where someone said, I'd like to see this on a size, 7 finger. This was pre-COVID, but I had a friend who had that size finger and we took a video. So, video and technology really, really helps. But to your first question, I've done it both ways. So sometimes a client will describe the thing and I'm like, oh, I have the perfect ring in my inventory, check it out, and they love it. But sometimes I'm like, I know what it is that you want. I don't have it, but I can find it. And then I get to go on a search and find that thing that's in my mind's eye. And it's really fun. I mean,
God, it sounds like heaven.
Yeah, I get to shop for people. It's great.
Oh my God. I mean, literally that I think might be my next career is like, I want to be your apprentice because I kid you not, anywhere I go and I see a store with antique or vintage or both rings in them, I am like in there. Cause I just, like even, when relatives, my grandparents passed away, like the more antique and vintage, like the more I just love it. And there's just, to me, there's also a story, right? So like for me, you're also attaching a story, a new story to your clients, right? And now they get to take that and bring it into their new life, which is, like oh my God, you have like the coolest job ever. Honestly, I am going to set up an appointment with you because I want a divorce ring now. I never even
so much fun.
thought about this. And now I am going to tell everybody about this. Well, the podcast will too, but I mean, seriously, I love this. And I, listen, I have to imagine, clearly you love doing this. So what is your favorite part of the work that you do for these women?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I really, really love being like part of the healing process. So of course I love the shopping. I love that rush when you find the perfect thing, but seeing the joy and the excitement throughout the entire process is so gratifying for me. And it's just, I think of myself in that position every time. And I loved the process of finding my divorce ring and buying it for myself. But how much more fun would that have been if I had someone else with me to like geek out over these rings and get excited and listen to the stories and, and just talk about these things. So I really, I like the teamwork and the camaraderie and the healing and the fun of it, because there aren't too many fun parts of divorce. So you should have a little fun.
Well, you know what I think it is, we're so quick to want to help and heal those in our life that are impacted by it. And we're the last on the list. We never invest in ourselves. We're the last person that we think of, right? And one of the brilliant things I believe about divorce is that it really, and it did this to me, it wakes your ass up to be like, guess what? You get to take care of yourself too, right? And, I always use the analogy, as do a lot of other people, like you have to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help other people. And part of that is also making yourself feel good, whatever that looks like. And to me, this is a physical symbol that you get to look at, right, every day and remind yourself of the strength that you embody, and you get to now move yourself into this amazing new place. I mean, I'm an example. You're an amazing example. I mean, and you also turned, you guys listen to what Sara said. She turned her passion. Okay. She's also living her passion of singing, of being an opera singer, right? But she had a secondary passion that she created a business around. And any of us have the power to do that. Sara is no different than any of you. She just tuned into what mattered to her, what made her excited. I was literally just going to say what makes her get up and sing in the morning. I'm sure you do that every day.
It's jewelry.
That too. But no, but I think it's so beautiful that you found, you didn't give up and you found something that you love and you're sort of paying it forward now, right? And
Yeah.
you're providing this same type of healing in a very different way. And it's magnificent. And I really am I just think you're the most amazing human on this planet, because literally when I got the email about the podcast, I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. Yes, of course she's got to be on this podcast. And, but I think that the fact that like you're able to connect with your clients, that you're able to really, because you've been there, you also understand what it feels like, and from there you're able to really just symbolize kind of their essence, in a way that many of us are lost finding. So
Yeah, it means so much. First of all, like, I mean, my heart is so full. It means so much to hear you say all of this. I'm really, really moved. And I really like, I'm so verklempt. I like lost everything I was going to say. But no, I mean, when so many of us, this is what I was going to say, when so many of us come out of these relationships, it really is a relearning aspect to learn to love ourselves again, because I think for so many of us, we've internalized really, really terrible things that our partners have said to us and said about us for so long. And it takes a while to unlearn those things and deeply, like in your heart, be like, no, I'm wonderful. I'm deserving. Like, I can do these things. And I think really like the only way to prove to yourself that you can is just to try it, because there's so many things I was so afraid to do because my ex told me that I would be bad at those things, like drive for long distances at night or like take long trips. And when I separated, I left California and drove to Pennsylvania, and I was like, I'm going to do this entire trip all by myself. I was scared, like it might be awful, but I did it, and it was an amazing experience. And it was just like that little thing that I was like, okay, well, if he was wrong about this, what else is he wrong about? Like, what are these other things that he told me I was or wasn't that like he was probably wrong about too? So I think it's just that like pushing yourself, dipping your toe in slowly, and proving to yourself, what you're actually made of.
yeah, and you are a living example of that, and one that I am so honored to know and to have had the privilege of speaking with you today. Thank you so much for coming on. I am so grateful for you and that you came into my world. So,
Likewise.
and I know that you have a special gift or two that you would like to offer to the audience today, all of which will be in the show notes, but let's have you share what those are all about.
Yes. So I will be offering a free 20-minute divorce jewelry consult. My email is smduchovnay@gmail.com. It's my personal email. It'll be in the show notes. Or send me a DM on Instagram at Songbird Sara Jewelry, and we can set that up. And that will be 20 minutes of just chatting about your experience and your goals and your jewelry style and all the fun things that we talked about. And then also, I will be offering free US shipping for listeners of the podcast. The discount code is divorce. And there will also be a link. If you just click on that link, it'll apply the discount to your order. I also do ship internationally, so it's not, that's not free, but talk to me and we'll figure something out if you live out of the country and you want a divorce ring of your own.
Yes, well, I do know that I have an international audience, which is awesome. So yes, please talk to Sarah. And just so you guys know, Sarah does not have an H on the end of her name. It's Sara. So Songbird Sarah Jewelry is without an H. But
Yes.
everything will be in the show notes. I personally am taking advantage of this and I want a ring, Sarah. So we're going to set that up.
I'm so
I'm
excited.
so excited and I can't wait to share and talk to everybody about this ring as a follow-up to this particular episode. But you guys, thank you so much. Sarah, thank you again.
Thank you.
So happy to get to know you and to have had you on here and really showing how we get to use an actual symbol to remind us of the power that our divorce brings us. So thank you everybody for tuning in today. I hope you loved this week's episode. I know I did. This was one of the coolest episodes I think I've ever recorded and had the privilege of interviewing because it's different and it's just opened my eyes to so many possibilities. So I hope you all felt the same. Thank you so much for listening. If you're on YouTube, thank you for watching. And I can't wait to see you guys and chat with you next week. Sending lots of love, light, and joy to you all. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Divorced Woman's Guide podcast. If you like what you hear, please share this episode with someone you know or spread the word on social media. This is how I reach more divorcees around the world and provide them with the support they need to create their next best life. And I would also love to continue the conversation with you. So please friend me on Facebook, join my private Facebook group, The Divorce Rehab, and follow me on Instagram at Divorce Rehab with Wendy. I'll see you next time.